Okay, hello and welcome everyone. This is Robin, and I'm here to make a quick video about a lot of small things that are not entirely obvious, but like that I found out over the last 30 hours of gameplay, and that I found mildly useful, interesting, and yeah, it's like none of these are like big things, but it's like stuff that I would have wanted to know that isn't like tossed in your face basically by Firaxis. So yeah. Without further ado, let's start. Stations. So, everyone knows stations. You can trade with them, they get better, yada yada yada, and they're annoying as hell if they drop just where you wanted to expand into. So, what can you do? Because these bad boys have 16 strength, your starting soldier only has 10, so you'd need about 4 of them, or 3. You need 4 if you don't want any casualties. 3, I think, would mean some of them die, but they actually cannot attack. So, what can you do? Well, you just build 1 or 2 ranges and you shoot them down, and problem solved. I'll show this real quick. Another thing is that I found out because there was this one quest that says declare war with one of the stations, and I was like, oh, how do you do that? If you click here, you cannot declare war. And I've never attacked a station before, so what you do is you just pick any unit. It doesn't even matter if it's a military unit, I think, and you make a move into the station. And it doesn't matter if it's actually in the vicinity, like this can't reach it, but you can still do it, so. And then the declare war screen shows up and you can say yes. And before you do that, you can also not actually shoot at them. Even if you're in range mode, you cannot click. So you actually have to do that if you want to shoot them down. So yeah, let's say yes. And yeah, so these ranges, no upgrade, no XP, level 1 ranges, yada yada yada, I think. Yeah. They deal around 21, 22 damage, 23 damage. The station heals for 10, so it doesn't take that long. With 2, it takes maybe 9 turns with 1, but yeah. Like if you have 2 ranges, the stations are down in no time. And on top of that, they will give you some science. I think I got 30 science for this one at this around this turn, and it's a quick speed, by the way. Which is three turns worth of science, maybe 4 turns worth, so that's not bad. I mean, and you get a derelict settlement, which you can explore with the explorer. That's why this guy's here. And derelict settlements, to my knowledge, they either give you population or culture, which is also nice. I mean, population, say if I would get one, that saves you maybe, well, I guess depending on the timing, it might save you more or less, but if you time it well, it can save you quite some turns. So even like if it's annoying that they pop in and you have to take them out if you want to settle, yada yada yada, you get something in return. Like, it's not the end of the world. The other thing that I want to mention, some people complain about, oh, stations are useless, trade is like for trade and stuff. I would not say so. Depending, like there's this nice little thing that's called alternative markets. That's only forward just now. And if you really go all the way down here, it gives you 6 energy per station tier. Last word is important because, as you know, it like for each completed trade route, the station goes up 1 tier, which increases what they give you. So if you have that thing, you get 18 energy for 1 trade route on tier 3, on top of like the other bonuses, which are usually 10 resources in any combination. Although it might be more here. No, probably not. No, because yeah, then you are 5 and 3. Okay, maybe around 10-ish resources. So that's not bad. That's actually not bad. The good thing is, like, say you have a science station. Okay, you get 10 science and 18 energy. Well, first of all, that's better than any trade route you can have with the AI at that point in the game. The other thing is you don't give the AI or the other players something. So it's like, unless you really want to settle there, it's worth maybe actually trading with them. So yeah, don't write these guys off. Just because they're annoying. But yeah, for the most part, they're annoying. The other thing is, of course, you can wait on quick speed. That's exactly, or around 30 turns till they just vanish again. in case that's ever of use. Of course, if you want to settle now, you don't want to wait 30 turns, but like if you know, like if you want to settle around turn, 40ish, I think this drop down turn 10ish, 16ish or so, then you can just like, wait a few turns and settle anyway. Okay, that's that for stations. Just gonna kill that off real quick. The next thing I wanted to say about trade routes. In case you haven't noticed, probably pretty obvious. You see all these red dots. That's miasma. Trade routes can't go through miasma. So, like if the station, like if there would be like only one miasma more here, I couldn't trade. Or you can also not go through the not explored squared, which makes sense because you don't know if it might be miasma. So yeah, so I cannot trade here because this is cut off here. The only route is cut off with miasma. The only other route is cut off with that black square here. So yeah, on the other hand, on the flip side, you don't have trade range anymore, as you might have noticed. So if there is a clear path from one to the other, you can get through it. Can I kill it? I think I can. So 30 signs, as you've seen, not bad at all. So the other thing is about ranges. They might think, but then I have ranges and they're not that useful. Well, they're very useful actually to get in. If you have alien nests nearby that you want to expand into, right now that's not the case, but I have one game where it was like, all these nice resources and 2 alien nests, and it was like, it was such a pain in the ass. So range is always good because you can take pot shots, and what I'm especially against alien worms, which a lot of, or some players complain about a bit. From what I can tell, alien worms just move out randomly. They don't specifically want to attack you, or at least not when they're in the green, so they just move about. They randomly vanish after a while, apparently too. But if you really want to get rid of them, range is the way to go. On that level, and even with that, with the survivalism virtue, you deal 3 or 4 damage, even with some experience and stuff, so it's not much. However, once you get the first upgrade, and I'll show that after a while, show it really quick later, or right now, you get +6 strength, and then you deal like 8, 7, 8, 9 damage. Then you can kill a worm rather quickly. There's also a quest for killing worm, which I haven't unlocked yet, but like if you have trouble with worms, 2 of those on any level 2 affinity, and you'll kill that worm in no time. Also alien, what I just found out from the manual is the aggressiveness. It's not only against you, but it's globally against all the human players, which is probably also why it takes a while to get them into the yellow. Because I would assume, and I don't know that, but of course if not all the players constantly attack them, you have some that are peaceful, some that are attacky, so that might cancel each other out a little bit to a degree. So that's why maybe if you haven't seen them going into the red, save for the Mind Flower, then that might be the explanation. But anyway, that's just an interesting tidbit. The other thing, of course, if you haven't noticed, alien nests can only spawn on top of xenomass. So if you have xenomass outside your borders, possibility is alien nest might spawn. Once you have it in the border, obviously alien nest can spawn within your borders. So if you don't want to have alien troubles, well, just expand. Well, xenomass is useful anyway, so yeah. But anyway, that's how it works. And if you see like a lot of xenomass in the distance, and you're not sure if you want to expand, like even if there isn't an alien nest when you first see it, odds are there might be when you go there the second time. So be prepared for that. Real quick. All right. So next thing, tech web. Some simple explanation of how the symbols works. For me that was just a real cool, quick aha thing. So buildings, you know which are the buildings by these 5 corner-ish thingies around like if it's a circle but with 5 of those, you know it's a regular building. It's a wonder if it's like that with the shading, like Like it's round and it has this slightly darker shade around it, but none of these 5 corners, then that's a wonder. Improvements that are just like upgrades for stuff that you already have are these circle and star or something is in the middle. Affinities are pretty self-explanatory. Units are the ones that just like have no specific, like they just have a symbol not surrounded by anything. So that's that. The other thing that I found that was a bit of a bigger aha moment, because in the old Civ you had like one tech tree at the bottom, which you mostly went to upgrade to make better military units, and you had everything on the top, which was more for like science and culture and religion. Yeah. So you always had to like go back and forth between making military units stronger and making your infrastructure better. Well, not anymore, because all you do is you have your 6 basic units, which are the soldier, the ranger, which is the range, so basically melee, ranged, the horses, which is a faster but slightly weaker melee, the catapult, which is the missile rover, the carrier, which can't attack but is stationed where you station your jets, the jets, which are, well, airplanes, except you get them like actually very early if you want them, which makes them actually useful. And there's a gunboat that I can never seem to find when I'm looking for it. And yeah, as you can see, I might not have used that much water warfare as of now, but it's somewhere there as well. Yeah, I'm not going to look for it now. That will take just too much time. But yeah, so these are the 6 basic units, and you don't like in the old Civ, you obviously had like, ooh, I get the pikeman, which replaces the warrior, and then I get the swordsman, which replaces the pikeman. But these were all melee units, so you no longer have that. You upgrade them by just increasing the affinity, and you can see how that will upgrade units in that task that says upgrade units. So here we have a standard ranged units, the ranger, and you see here's the 2. So once you unlock any affinity level 2, it will transform into a gunner, and this will make him stronger. On top of getting the perks, that's something that took me like 2 games to realize. I didn't get that they would increase in strength as well. I just thought you could pick perks, but that's just on top of the actual increase in strength. So yeah, if you get early 1-2 levels affinity, both the soldier and the ranger will be stronger actually, which is really cool. And the really cool thing about that is, of course, that you no longer have to jump back and forth deciding between military or something else, but you can actually combine it. Like, say, I want a growth in all cities, and on top you get some purity, which makes it stronger. Or I want more production from that stuff, and on top of it I get some military. Or, yeah, you get the point. So it's a lot more versatile, which I really enjoy. The other thing that I'm just recently got for the improvement tiles, which are these, by the way, these bluish things. Those are the improvements. Basically means stuff that your worker can build on top of tiles that you can work then with people. There are 2 things. There's the yield and there's the provide on top of that. So I would always wonder, like when I saw it, I thought it only gave you 2 or 3 for 2 negative health. I thought that was a bit crazy, but no, the provides, you always get that even if you don't work it. Like say for the biowell +1 health, you don't need to work it, and the yield is of course just the normal yield. But again, that might have just been me who didn't quite get it, but that was quite a cool thing when I found it out. So I wanted to let you know in case someone else had the same problem. Now let's see, looking at the notes real quick. Oh yeah, and I guess, well, the resources are self-explanatory. There's only 3, and these bluish thingies are all buildings that you need for victories. So yeah, but again, that's pretty self-explanatory. Anyway, yeah. Oh, one thing in the virtues. Yeah, I just heard someone say they just found out after a few games that there's actually synergy bonuses here as well as here. So in case you haven't noticed, yes, they're here. Hover over them to see what they actually do. One thing that I didn't quite get at the beginning was these, and there are more of those. Each tile. There's more of those, and I don't know where the others are. Okay, never mind. Oh yeah, here. Each city tile generates da 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 da. So what confused me was the word each city tile. What that actually just means is city. So I mean, what they technically mean is like this tile on which the city is. So you would see it appearing on the yield map, I think. But yeah, basically it's just you get for each population you get that much production, more production for a city. In case you found the wording confusing as well, that's how it goes. But again, that might have just been me. One thing that was a real eye-opener for me, especially coming from Civ 5, as all of us do, I'm sure, the health compared to happiness. If you ever dipped into negative health, you'll see very quickly all it does from until you're in -9, between -1 and -9. All it does is give you -10% on science and culture, and it doesn't affect growth at all at that stage. And that's very, very important to know, especially in the early game where you I usually just make the decision to expand a bunch, like maybe 2 or 3 times, grab the lamp before the AI does it, be in around negative, maybe negative. Like I usually obviously don't want to go over -10 because then what you get on top of is some -10% for production, but that's also not that big of a deal. And you get other spies get higher intrigue, but that's also not that big of a deal at that stage in the game. And only from -20 onwards you actually get -50% growth. So yeah, and like so, just usually I try to keep being below -20 and ignore the rest for the biggest part, and it's worked out quite nicely so far. So yeah, don't be like too shy to dip into negative here. On the other hand, of course, the +10, +20 also give you plus to science and culture and production. So yeah, it's worth it can be worth focusing on getting in a positive health, but it's not like happiness where it's an absolute must and you're pretty screwed when you don't, which is cool. Yeah, the other thing about spying. I just read up in the manual actually by accident more or less. Higher intrigue level means higher risk for your agents. So the reason, usually you start out, you get some science, you steal some energy, and then at some point when you do more crazier stuff, you'll have less and less success, and sometimes your agents die and get killed and identified and so forth. So how the reason why you're almost never caught at the beginning, but more at the end is that, again, higher intrigue level means higher risk for your agent of that stuff happening. So if you, say, only want to steal some science, you might want to move cities every now and again so that you don't have to retrain the agents from scratch if you don't have that wonder that gives you the agents on the highest level per default. But yeah. So yeah, just a good thing to know. So another thing, and I can't show it, that I found useful, that at the beginning I was like a bit confused, as satellites, knowing how long they still last. If you go into the satellite menu, or if you click on a satellite which isn't there yet, oh wait, I can build that real quick. You see a timer below. So like if I launch that guy here, and then it will appear, I can click on it, then you see 0 out of 6, so you know it will last 6 turns in total, and now it's turn 0. So yeah, just in case you haven't noticed that, that's how it goes. Right. Another thing about people have asked sometimes is some of the quests require you to do stuff at certain sites, like send military units to investigate the tomb and so forth. Unfortunately, the how you do that is not quite clear, because if you send an explorer, you have this huge button that sticks out, that's like an extra that you don't normally have, like this here. However, for the quest, and it's both for the one where you need an explorer and the one where you need a military unit, all that happens is that a small and not identical looking, but in the same style, visual style, a small button appears here, just where this empty square is. So here. So it doesn't stick out, but it's there. So if you move the unit onto the tile where it needs to do stuff that is defined, like you will see, it will say here, like instead of destroy alien nest, it might say like move a military unit towards that ruin, and you can click to locate as well. Like stuff like that is instead of build an expedition inside, it might say drain the miasma or send a military unit to investigate. Then what will happen is once you move the unit onto that spot, a small button will appear. And that's how you complete the quests. Another thing about quests is, keep an eye on the quests, especially these ones. These are the affinity quests that are often take multiple mini quests. So you will need to pick between affinities early, like do you go into harmony or supremacy and purity or something like that. That's usually the first choice. It's either one or then between the one or the other two, and then there will be more quests, and at the end you get XP and some stuff. And I've seen people say, oh, this quest is back because you don't get anything for completing it, but that's not true, or at least I don't think so, because like you get like it's an ongoing quest. It's not finished. It's just like you have smaller steps, sub quests basically, until you actually complete it. And since as I explained, affinity is military power on top of being able to do the specific victory conditions. Keeping an eye out on the affinity quests. What you can do is quite important. Unfortunately, there's now big flashy, ooh, you have a new affinity quest, but yeah. Now the other thing is, of course, the building quest, but you've figured that out, of course. So yeah, that's that. The same is true for the victory wonders. I saw that on the discussion forum sometime, people asking how to activate beacon. There's no button. Yes, the same. They will have a small button here that doesn't look big or flashy, but it's there. That's how you activate beacons and the gates. So yeah, one last thing, no, two things. Also, Captain Obvious here, you get all these from the start. In Civ 5 you had only science and energy or gold, and you had to research them. Now you also have culture and food, which is really great. Like don't underestimate, like in the mid game, just popping in a culture or research, or if you have a new outpost, like sending in 2 or 3 trade routes to boost their production and food, and then also add this to convert some of that production into additional food. Your new cities will grow rather quickly and be useful before the game's over, actually. And often, like especially like if it would take you like 20 turns to build a simple recycler or laboratory, like just do that, wait till the city grows and before you build some actual buildings. Again, that's nothing new, nothing that is hidden or so, just something that might get overlooked because it wasn't a feature in the old Civ, so it's like people might not be used to actually fiddling around with that. Now the very last thing I wanted to show, because people have said, and rightfully so, I find it annoying as well, you don't get a score screen when you win. It's like a bit, the game ends, but it doesn't feel that great. There actually is a score screen, as I said, to show it other the replays, and there's even a Hall of Fame. So when you load it, what you get is all that nice stuff that we know from the other Civs, where you can look at everything, what you've done, and so forth. And Hall of Fame, for me, that's a bit bugged out. I don't know why. I've completed 5 games, and it says I have not yet completed any games, but I've heard from other players it actually works. So, but anyway, that's it. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know if I missed something, if something's incorrect, if there's stuff that you thought was very useful, but that I didn't comment on, but that might be useful for other players. Let me know. I'll gladly put it in the notes, or if there's enough, then make a small video to add to it. Let me know what you think, and thanks for watching, and have fun playing the new Civ. All the best to you.